Greetings, Marsh here, and welcome to episode 208 of my modded Factorio playthrough. In this episode, we're going to finish designing the green circuit setup, and then start adding it to the bus. Enjoy. What kind of numbers are we looking at for these machines? They're pretty small, so we could probably just do a lot of this stuff in a straight line. Certainly the resistors, because there's like 10 of them. 20-ish for these other ones. I'd hate to not take advantage of any existing setups that we might have, but it does require liquid, so if it was anything, it would look something like this. And we actually need to get that rubber wire made. Let's just cut this out. Put it on the same line. So we have an idea of numbers. Fairly small. So the big question is this. Can this number of inputs and outputs work? Unfortunately, I don't think so. Because this has 2 inputs and 1 output plus liquid. Where this one has 3 inputs, 1 output plus liquid. So the concept is similar, but I don't think it's going to work. Let's try to build something fresh then. Guess do it over here where we have space. And robots can reach us. Well, you know we can place 5 of them in range of 1 substation. Unfortunately, there's kind of not a lot of ways of doing this. But we could have, let's say, the output belt right here. Running a little low on rubite. Although I think I know which one that is. I believe it's the original one. All the way down here. Yeah. That we scanned it and upgraded it into a seam with Prospector, and now it's almost all gone. Which is fine. We just wanted to get rid of it because we could. We'll want to do the same things with these other initial patches as well. I think we're also doing that just because rubite was running pretty low. But I think with speed modules, that isn't as much of a problem anymore because it's all maxed out here. So for now, there's nothing to worry about. It's going to take so much space to do it this way. But I don't think we really have much of a choice. Unless we did a combined input-output belt. I really don't like doing that, but the alternative is something like this. I guess it's a little misaligned, but you get the idea. Where, yeah, it would be like this, and then we'd have to have a belt coming in here, and it could be shared, so there's that at least, but the density would be really low. But we could do something like this if this output belt also had one of the inputs on it. And then, it's kind of hard to show there, but let's say it was going up. You can use an underground here just to get rid of stuff. So let's say you output the thing you wanted on the left, and the input resource is on the right. Well, the input resource would get stuck, and only the output would actually go up. So you would have to route your input all the way down and then go up. But that would save you an extra belt slot. And if it means the difference between this and this, it seems like a worthy thing to do. Not that we need that many machines, I guess. We'd only need 24 of them. But still, what would 24 look like? Well, it's actually narrow enough to where you don't even want to do it that way. But like this, that seems like a pretty healthy thing. And we'd still need to do the belt combining for this. And we could use the substation too. So yeah, let's do it. Also, a reason why that seam is running out is because it's running at full blast, I think. I think that it's going into like a storage warehouse. So we're creating a buffer just to make it run out. But at least that would get rid of one more belt, which is always nice. So, okay. We have our thing here. And robots are coming to help. Although I do notice another problem. Is that although you can do that with belts, you can't have one inserter doing inputs and outputs at the same time. So we would need a minimum of 3 inserters per machine to make that happen. So, ouch. Unfortunately, I think we're stuck with that other method. Well, we probably won't need to worry about a substation then. Although, we might be able to make it a little more compact. No, still gonna have problems with underground belts in there, unfortunately. I was hoping we can compact it in there a little bit more, but I don't think we're going to be able to. It is going to have to be something like this. Or use larger machines, I suppose. We don't have to use the electronics assemblers. We can just use the standard assembling machine, which has 3 squares on each side. But they're slower. Let's see, and I think we needed to change the spacing of these, because it's going to be like this. And since we're inserting on one side of the belt, it's got to be alternated nears and fars. And how many machines? 24, that's what we're looking for. Well, I guess it's not that big a setup when you consider that it's not that many machines. It's going to have these 2 inputs. One of them can just be plastic. And then we can maybe combine the other belt to be the wire and wafers. So we put machines down. Could probably space them out by 3 here. The input comes down here. The output is going up. Like before, we'll probably want to do some red inserters to try to max it out. Probably should put these power poles in here to get rid of the flashing. Although they don't quite reach from the middle, which is kind of annoying, but oh well. We'll just have to reach from the outside here. So that's all we need for the wafers, which would go up. Then we just need to do wire, which we would also need to convert that from tin to copper wire. All the numbers are small, so there'd be 1 machine making the insulated wire. And I suppose we could put insulated wire on the bus, because we do use it for stuff, but it's also really easy to make, so I don't know if we really want to, because insulated wire is still wire, and I don't know if we want to be putting such a low density thing on the bus. But then again, rubber only goes into insulated wire. So it kind of feels bad to have rubber on the bus, but when you look at 1 rubber makes 60 insulated wire, it actually makes a lot of sense to just keep rubber on the bus, even though we only need it for the one thing. Or maybe by drone, because right now we do have it going into a drone warehouse, so perhaps it doesn't go on the bus at all, it just does delivered by drone for wherever makes sense. We have done such a thing up here with the electronics bus, where we didn't really need to put this on the bus, so we just sent it straight to a drone and on its way. So we could do something similar up here as well, where we have this drone network going in, and then the rubber is just directly delivered to where it needs to go, rather than giving it a bus spot when it really doesn't need it. And let's check on this setup. Since we're not doing any research, it's kind of stopped. And it looks like the drone's caught up with the resources, and now we have 2.4K of rubber. I mean, it's not a ton of rubber, but that's certainly enough to get this process started. So hopefully, we won't need to produce it directly. We can just make it from byproducts, which would be nice. Okay, well, we've got this. And actually, we should probably place it like right here. And we need so little wire, I think 1 inserter would be fine. Yeah, just even a yellow inserter. Let's do this. But turn this one into the one that makes the tin to copper wire. Because the idea is that the rubber will be coming in from drones from up here. So then, the wire can just come in from the bus from this direction. So it could be a little more narrow. And then it just outputs. And as far as I can tell, that's all we would need for the supplementary components to this. So let's get it placed. It's always nice to line everything up, so let's get that taken care of. Like that. Although it does need to be spaced out a bit because of power poles. So we're going to have to pick this up again. Sorry, robots. You know what you signed up for when you became a robot. Or maybe you didn't. And boom. Where that goes through there. That input comes from above. That's the other plastic input. And then the output would be right here, which needs to be mixed in with the other components, which would be right here. Is that something we can copy? Yeah, maybe. This is basically all there is to it. Does look like a lot of this stuff is using the old power pole, so I should probably be kind of careful about not using them if we can avoid it. Let's just pick all this stuff up, because we can now do them in groups of 4. So we need a total of 10. Let's connect that together. And certainly, we only want productivities in all of these. So the cable would go down there, then the carbon, the output would go up, which we can just go straight across. So let's pick it up and line it up. And then it combines right here, which goes across to however this lines up. And right now that is 3 spaces above these machines. Oh, look at that. Completely unintentional, but it works, and it actually would need to be red at that point. And I believe those are all the components, the machines we need. And now when we place them, it hopefully will all work. Guess we'll find out. You always do. My worry is this. That's going to be a little off. But we'll have to see how it works. One thing we're going to need to do is make sure our bot network extends all the way out there. And to some extent, it's up here. But not all the way. And it's really nice to just put bots along the edges of power poles here. So I actually probably shouldn't be doing that, because that's where all of the belts need to turn. Okay, that's a pretty good construction area here to get started anyway. Probably want to give the robots somewhere to park. And to charge if necessary. So, the first thing we need to do is this, and we'll have to see if it's actually going to fit in this little section because of this road. Certainly the road could be moved. It was kind of picked as a random spot. I think kind of lined up with this, because that's what it seems to be. The first set of components is this. So let's grab it. And does it fit? Kind of, but not really. But kind of. This is normally where I place things. 1 square away. And that is right on the line. Well, it's technically in the space, so I guess use it. And this is where the first resource comes in. So if we put this 2 spaces off, that should make maximum use of the available space. And then we just can't put that light there. We'll have to do it like right there. So are robots coming? Oh yes. Yes they are. And we can extend the network while we're here. It's so fun to see bots do their thing. Well, one thing we're going to need to get here is the ferric chloride. We do have a setup kind of off to the side, making it down here. And I think it's only sized for making the white circuits, so probably not for green, but at the same time, these don't even have modules in them, so it would be pretty easy to buff this up if we need to. But I don't see any need to preemptively do it. But we do have the train, which is nice. It kind of delivers it off to the middle of nowhere out here, but I think that's just because we didn't really want to take up a big spot right here for a liquid train, which aren't as dense as solids trains can be. And then we just sent the ferric chloride out here. So it'd be pretty easy just to move the pipe up here and kind of go along between these other machines. And we might have to move the pipe as required, but it's already kind of mashed in here as close to the center as it possibly could be. So it should be fine. We'll just move it as required. It's nice having these longer pipes. And let's see how to get these resources in here. Oh, probably just kind of up through here. And connect. And filling everything up. And actually, we also need to consider making this bot friendly. In other words, if we have extra resources in our inventory, we want to make sure they're dumped in a place where they will get used. So if we ever find ourselves with the superior circuit boards, putting them at the start of their journey is probably the best place. And unfortunately, I would like to kind of have them on the end here, but because of space concerns, it's not really going to work. But we can kind of do this. Just put a unloader in there. Use a storage chest and just say any superior circuit boards get dumped there. And then it'll go up and slowly get ingested into the system here. Fiberglass boards, I think, I don't know if we have a spot in our inventory for them, but it's probably better to put them at the origin. Because these do go into other things, not just these boards right here, so we'd want to put it at the origin so it can go to any place that needs it, not just specifically this setup. Well, we need to get the resources in. We've got two of them, silver and copper, but we do need fiberglass. And we put that on a train. Check the LTN network, and there it is, all available. So we're kind of in a situation where we wonder, what do we want to do with this fiberglass board? Because we can deliver it by train, send it down all the way up there and be super annoying about it. Or just send it up and go in this way. So do we want it to be symmetrical or have the belts be shorter? I'm thinking being symmetrical. I know that you can't really easily rotate these things when they have liquids involved, but what happens if we had a situation where we wanted to cut this away and then our second section and then attach it on the front? Thinking that might be more difficult if the belts are all pointed in random directions. And it might look more pleasing if all of the belts are pointed the same direction and the resources are going the same direction. And it's not like fiberglass boards are that difficult of an item to create. And we probably will have to move this at some point. But for now, I think it's fine because... Oh, interesting. We are out of aluminum plates. That was one of the last things that needed to be upgraded to coils. And we did want to kind of move this a little bit because it was crowding in on the spaces here. So let's look at the rate. Honestly, it would probably be something pretty similar to this, because I imagine these are set up for about 30. Well, it looks like a little bit more. But it would need like that many machines, and we're probably not using 30. But it would be something like this. And a little too big to fit. We can also do them out here. Because it's not like there's going to be room for another train station in here. It looks like that the next one would have to be down low. So it's probably fine to kind of mash them up there. And that disconnects power. Let's see. Could probably help a little bit. There you go. Let's get the rest of this set up. Doesn't have anything connected to it right now, but that's okay. We just need to know that it's there. Let's just chop these in half. So the silver comes up here, and it looks like probably wants to be lined up with there, but I don't know how well that's going to work. But it might work out because the aluminum needs to be right here. So we can put it there. And then will the silver work with where it needs to go? Looks like it. And then this can go, I think, right there. And this is just because we switched to coils for those resources after building this. So it feels a little outdated. Okay, well, we need to make our new request. This one can be for aluminum coils, and then I guess this one can be for our new fiberglass boards. And it looks like it didn't even get a signal in here. I'm going to keep putting them down. The second I pull this away is when there's going to be train problems, and I really would have wanted to know about a clog. So I'm going to keep putting them in. We need to do one of these for aluminum and one of them for the fiberglass. And then we need to make those requests. Looks like we took aluminum off of here, which makes sense because we didn't want to keep setting it here. And we're already on the boards, so we can do aluminum, negative 512. And fiberglass, negative 512. And hopefully that will work in a second. The silver coil input will go that way. And it looks like these are the old style machines, so maybe we need even less of them. Or more, if we're using even more productivity modules. Yeah, that seems fine. And there's the request. Let's make sure everything's happening correctly. That train's going for aluminum, which is all the way on the end. Looking good. And then the fiberglass train was down here. It just went, and no radar. Let's see where to put this thing. I kind of try to have a minimum amount of radars, and I'd want to put it like right here. So hopefully I'll remember next time. The bots don't go out that far. I don't want to put it right there. But this number of machines will work. Then the output can go straight across. And go in. Seems fine. And yeah, since it wants multiple trains, but there's only one, it's going to whine about it. Let's get these all set up. How many is that? Too many. There we go. And the output will go across. And there's still some remnants of what we did before in here, but that should be pretty good. Kind of want to see this in action, so I'll disconnect them. And we can jump the fuel across that. And fiberglass boards, we'll need a new spot. looks like a good one will just be right here. The number is pretty small, so yellow is actually fine, although I think we've basically upgraded to everything being red for main bus items for simplicity. And it does kind of cause a bit of a problem with this, because it's kind of in the way. But I think we have enough spaces to make it work. Okay, the trains are coming in. Looking good. And then that'll go down the belt and then do the U-turn and come on back. All good there. Then we get our coils. Let's just connect it. I have noticed something, that we switched over to coils, and silver is one thing that's still not in coil form, and it's being converted here. Which is fine, but for any future setups, we probably don't want to do that. And one weird advantage of having the bus flip around like that is it means we can switch over to silver coils and come up this way, if we'd like to. If we're already going to do that, we should probably do something similar with the fiberglass boards as well. I mean, our setup is built with those silver coils in mind, not that it couldn't be changed, but it's already set up to use it, so why not continue? So we might as well continue to use the efficient methods when we have access to them. So the tricky part is making sure we get all the belts lined up to where they need to go. The setup is built and ready to go. So then we need to get the copper and silver in here. Well, the copper is actually the first thing. So it can come up and around. Go all the way up, and then we'll need to split it in. Kind of like this, and then it would go down. The other thing would go there. So, where is the silver at? So we can get it exactly right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. On the 7th slot. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It would come in on here. And mix in here. So we know exactly where it would go, so we can take this all the way down. And anything else that needs silver, we'll have access to it. Make sure we get the right thing. Yep, silver is right there. So we'll split it. And it can come in through here. And down it goes. The other thing we're going to need is the fiberglass, which would come in on this line right here, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th line of the 3rd group. So number 3 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 would come in through here. So much belt. And now we wait for all the resources to get here. Although I think I made the same mistake on this setup as I did on the other one, where I was thinking I could combine belts here because we have 3 inputs and each machine is only getting access to 2 inserters. So unfortunately that means that this whole setup won't work. It has to be something like this. Much bigger, unfortunately. Which is going to make it much wider. Well, let's grab it as it is. And then we'll worry about getting all of the belts to line up. Because unfortunately, this is significantly less dense than that is. Guess we'll just kind of give ourselves some room and place it up here. Because this would be 24 machines. And we need basically 5 groups of them like this. So we can do 1, 2, 3, and then 4. And that's not really leaving us room for these machines on the top. So we'll probably have to size it appropriately. Although these machines could, in theory, grab on each other's belts, but I don't think so because of the length of the power poles. So actually, because of that, we may want to come in here and set this up to use substations instead. Because then it can be smushed in there a little tighter. 140. Okay. So we can go down here, which means we don't need the last 3 rows. So the 2 metals, the output boards, and the input boards. So that should be a new setup, and hopefully it'll fit in the same spot. It does, and like the other one, it's kind of a just barely sort of thing. But it does. Thank you, robots. So I think we kind of did it. Something like this before. It's just a little bigger now. And we got to get rid of this thing. Let's see, we do want to combine our outputs with a storage chest. So we need to reset this up. Superior circuit board. And the robots are still working on that. Because this is a long distance, it might be worth it to have a buffer tank in here somewhere. So that ought to help. Because it's got a long way to come. And it's being pressurized on this side. It's just a long distance. And that's the end of this episode. On the next one, we're going to finish up with the green circuit setup and see how it works. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later.